is with some joy I present to you Senator McGovern, wiser than Caesar, but stuck with a different set of cards. So he and I can sit here and look on your happy faces and consider that how different this was from 1972, when all things seemed possible, convincing me that all things are. So we must gather our forces and we know that socialism must never come to America.
Well, over the years, I've had the privilege of being introduced by many important people, but this is the first time that I can recall being introduced by a man who got a standing ovation just for walking into the Nixon Library. And I'm very grateful to Gore for that. I've long regarded him as our leading man of letters. Thanks to all of you for coming out on a weekday for this occasion. I've been on a book tour of California for the last few days. While we're said to be in a deep recession today, every place we've gone in promoting this book on Abraham Lincoln, we've had a sellout. So I'm very grateful for that. That includes the first night at Book Passage in Corte Madera, where we sold over 200 books. It includes Redondo Beach, where we had another sellout. It includes Chapman University, where we were this afternoon. I've discovered that this Lincoln McGovern ticket is very, very popular, but it wasn't till tonight when we added Richard Nixon and Gore Vidal that we had 700 people come out. So I'm very grateful for that, and thanks so much for coming out. This little book that I have written on Abraham Lincoln is part of the presidential series published by Times Books, a division of Henry Holt, in which they propose to have an author write on the presidencies of every president, beginning with George Washington. I was in a restaurant in New York City about 3 years ago, and a lifetime friend of mine, Arthur Schlesinger, spotted me, and I saw him working his way over to my table, and he said, "George, I want you to do me a favor. I'm the editor-in-chief of a series of books on the presidencies of all of our presidents. We're going to have a different author for each president, and I want you to do one of these books. I begged off on the grounds that I had just started working with former Senator Robert Dole on a project that I think is very important, which is aimed at convincing the United Nations, with the United States in the lead, to provide a good, nutritious school lunch every day for every hungry school child around the world. I have been interested in this problem of human hunger all of my public life. Many people associate me with my opposition to the war in Vietnam, and that was a major concern of mine for about 10 years. But the recurring issue that I've been involved in from the beginning was reducing the amount of hunger in the world. I have always enjoyed eating, but I was at a lovely restaurant in Los Angeles last night with my friend Patricia Kelly, who's here this evening and who has been in charge of my book promotion tour. And I just thought what a wonderful, delightful experience that was, to be in that lovely restaurant and have this delicious meal. But it also occurred to me that I would have enjoyed it even more if I knew that everybody else could have an experience like that at some time in their life. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen as matters now stand. So I gave Arthur that excuse for not doing this book. He said, "Now listen, George, you've been telling me for 30 years that Northwestern University, where you went, is better than Harvard, where I went. Now's the time to either put up or shut up." So anyway, after about an hour, I said, well, I will do one of those books if I can get Abraham Lincoln. I've always thought he was our greatest president, notwithstanding the fact that he's the founder of the Republican Party, which, by the way, was the party of my mother and father. It's interesting that Bob Dole and I have teamed up on this effort to feed hungry children. He grew up in a Democratic family, strong New Deal Democrats. I grew up in a strong Republican Party, and we both seem to have crossed our parents. But I spoke up for Lincoln, and Arthur said, well, the trouble with that is that we've already had a request for Lincoln, President Bill Clinton. And he said, this may come as a surprise to you, but some people think that actually being elected president is more impressive than just running for it. Anyway, I said, well, if he changes his mind, let me know. A year went by, and I get a call about midnight. It's Arthur. And he said, guess what? Bill Clinton has just told us he can't do the Lincoln book. So that's why I'm here as the author of Abraham Lincoln. It's interesting about Lincoln. Gore once wrote a fascinating historical novel about Lincoln. I think it's one of the better things that Gore has written.